Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you the finals from MLG Providence 2011. Game's going to be taking place between NaniWa versus Leenock here on Shakura's Plateau. This is game 1 in the series. I'm not going to tell you how many games are in the series, just going to let you go ahead and watch and enjoy alongside with me. We have Leenock spawning as the blue Zerg on the bottom left hand side of the map. If I say timber, a tree is not falling. It is just the fact that Timber is the name that Leenock is using on, I guess, the American accounts. And there's also Timber on the top left-hand side. But that's why I have this. But I know some of you guys out there want to see how much food that both players are setting up. Now, NaniWa pretty much opening up with the fast expansion. He is going to try to forge fast expand here on Shakura's Plateau. A very common strategy for most Protoss players, as it allows the Protoss player to easily get even in terms of economic bases. Then the Protoss player can try to utilize some sort of 2-base timing push or expand as well if they see the Zerg expanding. NaniWa quickly scouting out the top left-hand side of the map, does not see anything. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but NaniWa is on the top right-hand side of the map. A full cross spawn here on Shakura's Plateau. Now, as this game gets underway, we'll see what Leenock tries to go for. Leenock, surprisingly enough, not going for a fast hatchery. Instead, going for an extractor and a spawning pool. Meaning that he's going to have those metabolic boosted lings out very quickly. If he gets the metabolic boosted lings out and is able to perhaps somehow run by here, that is going to deal a lot of damage. And NaniWa, for some reason, is not going for a Forge first. If he goes for a very greedy Nexus first, he may end up in a whole world of hurt. And I think he is going to be going for a Nexus first. So that Nexus means that there's going to be quite some time before a Forge is up, before any cannons are up, and the Zerglings may be able to simply run by and place down and do a lot of harassment. The Forge does take 45 seconds to build. On top of that, a cannon takes 45 seconds to build. The Zerglings should already be being trained. Yes, 4 Zerglings now being trained. It does take 24 seconds to build them. And it does take a little bit of time to run across the map, and NaniWa may just squeak out here with that greedy Nexus first. This is going to be a full cross spawn, as we are going into a gateway. NaniWa may be forced to warp in another gateway here in order to finish off this wall in time, as the Zerglings are going to shoo away the probe. And it looks like Leenock is pretty much getting the Zerglings out in order to push away the probe, and that is it, and not have any serious harassment. Now, you would normally say that if this was Brood War, you would say that the Zerg player ended up falling behind because his production got hurt. But with the introduction of the Queen actually produces more larvae than a hatchery would early in the game. So Leenock not too far behind. The Zerglings Overlords now making their way out. Zerglings going to clean up the probe now, as we are now going into a Roach Warren. Now, Leenock has 2 options for this hatchery. He can either drone up and turn this into an economic game, or he can use this as a macro hatch and just train up roaches and use it off of 2 hatcheries to push across the map. Now, the problem with this, though, is that this is a rather large map, and without the roach speed and without creep tumors, roaches are going to be reinforcing very slowly. Gateway units can generally fend off the attack, especially with the power of sentries, force fields, and some photon cannons as well. We are getting in that cybernetics core. I believe there should be a little... Actually, no, this is a complete wall off here, as we are now also getting into the warp gate tech. Overlords now positioning themselves in the center, as we are going into 8 roaches. So the hatchery was canceled. Okay, so hatchery completely canceled. Leenock changing the strategy up, going to go into very heavy roaches. 7 roaches now making their way across the field. The Zerglings now going to fight against the Zealots. Very nice micro there, pulling away with those Zerglings, making sure that the Zerglings do not get taken down by those Zealots. And now the roaches are going to be making their way across the map. Are the Zerglings going to engage? Yes, the Zealots, if they spot the roaches, that would be huge. Are they going to spot the roaches? Yes, they are going to spot some of the roaches, but I don't know if he actually saw all of them. And if he doesn't see everything, he is going to go into a lot more photon cannons now to try to fend off this attack. You can see sentries are being added, but sentries are very low in DPS, and the roaches are going to be knocking on that front door. More Zerglings still reinforcing, a lot of Zerglings. So Zerglings going to be trained instead of roaches to move across the map very, very quickly. The roaches and Zerglings now trying to push their way through. Gonna take down this gateway very, very quickly. Is it gonna be enough? One roach already down. It looks like the photon cannon has been taken down. A photon cannon in the very, very far back, as now the sentries are not gonna really be able to push through here, and this gateway may go down, and now the Zerglings are gonna perhaps, no, they're just gonna try to take down the buildings here, and now in comes the push. There's a force field. Photon cannons, roaches, and Zerglings are backing off to get some free hits onto those forges here, as the roaches are taking a bit of damage, a little bit more than they would want to at this stage in the game, and now backing off still. Gateway now being rewarped in, but I believe there's a little bit of room right there, as NaniWa, it looks like he's just going to be able to fend off this attack. If this forge goes down and the cybernetics core goes down, that is going to be a really, really painful, as there are no gateways for NaniWa. NaniWa doesn't have any way to really reinforce his army with only 2 sentries. He has to deal with a lot of roaches, and now the roaches are just gonna get some easy shots onto the cybernetics core as well. This gateway about to be completed. He cannot even start warping in a second cybernetics core, as he doesn't have a gateway up to replace the first. A void ray is being trained though, and that void ray may spell problems, as the Zerglings are now going to try to push through here in just a moment. Cybernetics core is now down, and now what is happening? Upgrading to warp gate tech. The roaches are still able to poke on that door. So the gateway now taking still more damage, as now a void ray going to engage, and that may be it for this pressure. The void ray going to counter attack all of these units here. Leenock being very smart to try to separate the roaches, but the roaches should have all been trying to return home. And there you go, NaniWa able to fend off that very early attack, and now in a dominant position. 1 void ray, 2 sentries, but 43 probes in this game. A queen is down over here. A queen is over here as well. We are getting an evolution chamber. Spore crawlers need to be added. Perhaps a tech to tier 2 at some point, as 1 void ray is up in the air. A second void ray is in the air. And now Phoenixes with their fast movement speed and very quick build time going to reinforce here. A third queen is being trained. Drones are being macroed up like a madman. Up to 31 drones now, as a spore crawler trying to be added. It may not be up in time. The roach now taking damage. We do see some overlords taking some damage, as the queen going to get in some easy shots here. But even the Phoenix going to join in and graviton beam the queen. Second queen now coming in. Does he have enough for a transfusion? That is going to be key. Going to snipe down one of those void rays, and it looks like the void rays are going to get pushed back here. We do not have enough for a transfusion. The queen just a little bit late, as we are now getting level 1 weapons upgrades. So Leenock somehow still very much in this, as the Zerglings and sentries need to be very careful. The Zerglings now going to run past. The Phoenix is unable to catch up. Zerglings run around so quickly. Perhaps going to catch some of these sentries out of position, getting some damage onto those zealots there, and now backing off continually, just trying to delay this attack. Getting some damage onto those sentries or eating up some force fields would be nice, as this front door has been rebuilt. Sentries trying to poke apart at some of the... Oh, sorry, the sentries getting poked apart by the Zerglings. And now we see massive number of spine crawlers being used to reinforce. So spine crawlers and queens being used to defend here. Zerglings are down here as well, but the void rays look like they have another option, attacking the main base. Introducing a proxy pylon would work out very well, as the Phoenixes are now going to be pushing in here. Overlords need to back off and now get within cover. Now in comes the Phoenixes. Are we going to get a transfusion? That queen has a lot of energy, but it's going to get sniped down. Leenock losing a very important queen. Looking like he's going to lose another here, as the Void Rays are going to try to pressure in here. There are Zerglings down as well. Phoenixes in the air. Void Rays putting pressure around, but the Void Rays don't have anything to hit right now. But there's nothing in the main base. The main base is completely wide open, as now the sentries, stalkers, and zealots have easily handled this front door. And now with nothing really going on here, Leenock looks like he's going to lose his main base and perhaps lose the game. Queen now making its way over. Gonna get some easy shots here. The Phoenix should be able to come over as well. Backing off. The Queen now backing off there. Re-engaging. And now gonna get some damage onto that Void Ray. The Spore Crawler does have a bit of range. A second Queen being added, but now being picked apart once more, as the Void Ray going after the Queen. And now Graviton Beam. That is no good. And now, pulling away the Spore Crawler. able to take down one of the Phoenixes. So nicely done there, as we are now going to get a second Spore Crawler down over here. The Void Ray going to quickly focus that down. There it is, being canceled, as this Queen now needs to be retrained, and a Queen being retrained back in the main base, and an ever large army now still being trained up by NaniWa. Now it looks like the Lair will get takedown. Lair already down on low on hit points, but in comes Hydralisk. Hydralisk coming in just in time and finishes off all the Void Rays. That was huge, but the Stalkers are now inside the base, completely bypassing all of those Spine Crawlers. Engaging, and there is the GG by Leenock. Leenock, as soon as he saw all of those Stalkers blink up the ramp or up the cliff, says GG, and NaniWa takes game 1 in this series. A fast expansion only to be pressured. A very, very calm play by NaniWa, not losing his cool, fending off the attack with just buildings and cannons, and then able to macro up enough to get back in this game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.